What's up everyone? In this video we're going to deploy the Web Security Appliance that we're going to use to proxy the requests coming from network 1007 towards R5. So what we're going to do is to enable the HTTP service on R5, and we're going to make R6 as the DNS server. Before powering on the Web Security Appliance, there are some requirements as to hardware. It should have a minimum of 1 virtual CPU and 6 gig of RAM. So in my case, I'm using 2 virtual CPU and 8 gig of RAM. Just I can afford it. So if you assign less than the required specification, it won't even power it on, but you have problems. So just make sure that you give at least if you can 2 virtual CPUs and more than 4 gig of RAM. So the idea or the scenario we'll be using is from Windows 12. All HTTP requests will be redirected to the proxy, and then the proxy will make the request on R5. So right now R5 not enabled, so we'll begin by enabling HTTP service, and want to enable authentication local. And let me see from PC. Okay, so let's see. I have the HTTP enabled. That's great. I should be able to reach R5 loopback, which means that I should be able to get a web page. B55555. Oh, and I don't have yet credentials. Let's go Lazio B6 CIE 65745. CIE 65745. It is enabled. What am I missing? This is CIE 65745. Yeah. So we are okay. We are able to reach R5 HTTP service. We come here, show IP HTTP service history. We can see that Windows 12 was assigned IP 1007-100. Is able to reach R5 on port 80. So we want that these requests be redirected to the proxy, and we're going to enable some web filtering as well. Now let's enable R6 as DNS server so that we can request this page on R5 but using names. So let me bring R6, and I have already defined R6 as DNS server on the ACP pool. So we can see that by looking at IP addressing, and right now DNS server is already configured to point to R6 loopback interface. So it's going to enable the service, the DNS server, IP named server 666, IP host, and these are going to be the URL to get to that will point to R5 loopback interface. I'll create www.ccae.com and point to R5. I'm going to add another one for xvideos.com 5555, and facebook.com 5555 and IP host linkedin.com 5555. So let's test this and it's working. So this means that from PC I should be able to resolve the name to R5 IP. And so if I type www.ccia.com, I'm able to do so. Okay, so still working. So I have HTTP service enabled, I have DNS service enabled. So now let's jump onto the proxy. So by default, its credentials are admin and the password is iron port. And the first thing we have to do is to install the license. Otherwise, we won't be able to use it. And to get the license, we have to get it from Cisco website. I'm going to show you the steps. I've already done it. I'm just going to show the steps on how to do it. From Cisco, we should go to support and license and contracts and download, register and manage license. And we should go to access LRP. Here you should go to license and choose get license, demo and evaluation. And you should select security products. And let's see, Cisco email web content security virtual demo license. And should choose Web Security Appliance 45 days demo license. And press next. And then you're just going to fill with the required information associated to your account. So I have done this already. So then, let me see. Once you fill all that information, yes, I want to cancel that. You'll get the license. It's going to generate the license, and then all you have to do is to select download the license. Once you get the license, copy the whole content and you should paste directly on the web proxy terminal, and you should run the command load license and select option 1, paste via CLI, and just press enter and then paste. For some reason this is not working as it's supposed to, so instead I'm just going to SSH to this device and paste using SSH connection. And first you need to know what is the IP address assigned to the unit, and you can do that by running the command interface config and details and press 1. And in my case that's the IP address assigned because I have DHCP running on this network, so this was assigned and was assigned this IP, and I'm going to log in using this IP. Now the license is installed, we can start configuring using GUI interface. So let's try to open HTTPS 192.168.43.34. That should be 8443. So if you get this unsupported version error, this might be related to the TLS that is being used depending on the version you're using. So Firefox supports the minimum TLS 1.2, and proxy it's using version 1.0. and we have to change that. So we're going to select 6 and we want to select 4 TLS 1.2, and yes, we want to enable it. So now we should be able to log in. Still not. Let's check again. SSL config, versions. The web user interface still want to. Okay, so I'm just going to do it to all services and enable for all. So done. Probably is going to restart the service. Still not working. Okay, let me. I was 192 43 34 8443. You. Everyone. Let me. So it's trying to negotiate 1.0 as well. Let me do this. Let's not fight. So interface config. So let's just enable HTTP. So this will be easier. I want to edit interface number 1. Yes, I want to keep the IP. I want to keep the mask. I don't want to enable IPv6. I want to keep host name. Don't enable FTP. Keep SSH. Enable HTTP on port 8080. Enable HTTPS 8443. Use self-signed certificate. And don't redirect. And because I made this change, we have to commit to save those changes, and it's going to restart those services. Now let's try again by using HTTP 192.168.43.134.8080, and we're okay. Password iron port. Okay, so here we want to go to system administration, system setup wizard, and we're going to select standard. It's going to be deployed on-prem, and here we have to set DNS server to BR6. We're going to leave NTP default. And what else? Actually, let me adjust NTP, my region, Europe, and let me select, what is it? United Kingdom. Yep. Okay, and is there another proxy? No, this is the only one. And I'm going to use M1 as the management only interface, and for data, that's the interface facing R6 and the network's 1066. Its IP is going to be 30. And here just want to say that it's going to be management, and here is going to be data, web security, data.com. So this is not going to work because I don't have those entries on my DNS server, but it's just requirement, web service, data. And we want to use duplex app, and we'll have separate routing tables for data and management. So my gateway on data is going to be 666 R6. Going to proceed, and right now we're going to leave this as a layer 4 switch, and the passphrase I'm going to change, and I have to add an email's address. Doesn't have to work. SMTP, we don't have to provide it, and slideshow, that's okay. And we want to keep all defaults, and everything should be okay. 10.6.6.6.30, my DNS 6.6.6.6. Yep. So let's install this configuration. Once the configuration is installed, you will be redirected to this address. As you can see, it's using the name we defined, so we have to replace that with IP 43.134. That should be okay, and it's installed, it's ready to be used. So what we're going to do is to add R6 as the router that's going to redirect the request to this proxy, and we're going to submit that. We're going to add the service. Just going to name it R6 Web Cache Communication Protocol. We're going to assign the service ID for port 80 only, and the IP is going to be 10.6.6.6. So that's our 6 IP address, and we're going to submit this. This is done, so we can commit those changes, and done. So now on R6, what we want to do is to establish the link or connection with the proxy. So we have to enable Web Cache Communication Protocol version 2. And next we have to identify which networks or which traffic is going to be redirected to the proxy, and we're going to create an access list for this. It's going to be extended, and we're going to name it just say redirect to say ACL permits TCP any. So all web traffic is going to be redirected, and now I have to identify where the web proxy is located. So the proxy IP ACL, and say permit host 10.6.6.30, and now you say that the ID we define on the proxy and the redirect list is going to be what is the name? Going to be this ACL. It's going to redirect to this guy. And now we have to add this rule on the interface facing where the traffic should be coming, so on E1 interface. And you can see that the session was established to show IP FCP 6 view, and you can see that we have a link between the proxy and the router. So if we try again from PC to get to R5, now this traffic should be redirected to the proxy. So let's log in. Okay, so the hostname DNS for this one has failed. Okay, this traffic is being redirected, but the problem is that the proxy isn't able to resolve this name to the IP. So we have to fix this on Let me see, web proxy, the transparent redirection. It's the but no, it's not here. Let me see in web proxy. No, this is related to DNS. Yes, this is related to DNS. This is where we have to adjust. You can see it's using the management routing table to get to DNS server. So we have to say this is actually data, not management. We're going to commit this change. Now it should be okay. So let's go back to our client. If we try again, we're able to get CCIE. If we try to get to xvideos.com, okay, CCIE 655. Okay, and if we look again at R5, we see that the requests now are coming from 10.6.6.30, and that's the prox IP address. So traffic is being redirected. So now we can apply some policies. So we want to filter X videos contents, and let's see which service we have here. R6. Okay, so we have Facebook. So we can apply these based on categorization. So we want to filter adult or pornography content and social network. So the only sites that should work are CCIE and LinkedIn. So let's just try to get LinkedIn just to confirm that it's working. Oh, that's bad. Okay, so LinkedIn is working as well. So here on the proxy, let's create our policy. So first we're going to identify that network. So we have to create an identification profile. I'm going to name it corporate ID profile, and members for these are network 10.0.7.0/24, and we're going to submit. And now let's create the policy, the access policy. I'm going to add policy, and we'll name it yes, corporate policy, and the identification profile will be the one created. So for corporate ID, I'm going to submit. And let's just commit those changes before making other changes. So done. So now in our corporate policy on URL filtering, we're going to select the categories that we want to block. So we want to block adult and social network and pornography. Let's see, social pornography and social network. Okay, that's it. So let me expand this a little more. All right, let's click on submit. So we're going to block 3 categories, and we want to commit those changes. Okay, this is applied. So now we shouldn't be able to get to Facebook and xvideos.com. So let's try xvideos.com. So it is being blocked. Category pornography, that's what we want. So let's try now Facebook. Again, it's blocked social networking because of our policy. So if we try to get to LinkedIn, it's working. If we're trying to get to which one, so CCIE, that's working for sure. Okay, and we see the request still coming through the proxy, and they are falling into our blocking category or under our policy. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.